Sarah Ferguson is getting canceled, basically canceled. Um, and she is, if anybody knows who she is the former wife of Prince Andrew, the Duke of York. Is that who he is? They have such weird titles. He is very enmeshed in the Epstein story. He was one of the people that Virginia Giuffre accused of raping her when she was, in her teens. They met at the Tramp Club with Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell had been friends with Prince Andrew for years and years and years before Epstein knew him. Denies ever going to the Tramp Club. Prince Andrew said that he was at a pizza party with his friends on the night of, and yet now we have the birthday book that talks about, in it, letters from the early 2000s talking about going to the Tramp Club. So, a little validation for Virginia Giuffre. One thing, as I've gone through some of the Maxwell interview transcripts, which I'm retyping up and listening to, is she was not a fan of Fergie, Sarah Ferguson, not a fan. And a lot of that had to do with jealousy because Sarah Ferguson had a crush on Jeffrey Epstein. Now, whether or not she knew about his reputation, my guess is she probably didn't know as much as Prince Andrew did. But this was post their divorce, or at least when the two of them had split up. Fergie had a crush on Epstein, which made Ghislaine Maxwell, who claimed not to have had much of a relationship with Epstein at all, you can tell it made her very, very jealous. And so she didn't like Fergie very much. But it's not news that Sarah Ferguson knew and or liked Jeffrey Epstein. This has been around for a while. But there have been some emails leaked, and I don't think they're leaked to the public. If they are, would somebody please tell me if there's a link to these, long list of emails? I know there's some like individual emails. There's supposed to be something like 18,000 emails from Jeffrey Epstein. And in them, there are letters from Sarah Ferguson saying that he's a very, very close friend or that she really liked him. And so it's not news. But what's interesting, and what you'll see in this investigation as it opens up, is, what did we find out about this in the last 24 hours? Sarah Ferguson is completely being wiped off the map 24 hours later, pulled from all her charity work and all the things that she's done. And she is a person who was in a horrible situation, like Princess Diana, like Monica Lewinsky, with not great people who did not treat them well, and they were blamed, right? The women became the scapegoat. So here in this situation, Prince Andrew's story speaks for itself, but Fergie says that she liked Jeffrey Epstein. And this is a letter from prior to him being arrested for anything, that she liked him, that he was a friend, and she's being wiped off the map, right? You have all these people involved with Jeffrey Epstein. Who's the person in prison? Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, are these women innocent? Probably not. Ghislaine Maxwell certainly isn't innocent. But you'll see the long arm of the law hit the women first. I don't think that's the right metaphor. I think I combined my metaphors. But you will see women bear the brunt and have much harsher consequences than the men. Prince Andrew is still walking around. There is so much evidence out there against Prince Andrew. And his reputation has been tarnished, right? I think of people like Woody Allen, right? Reputation tarnished. Consequences, not really any. He's still a member of the royal family. He still reaps the benefits of that, being a child of the Queen, brother of the King. But Fergie was sort of excommunicated by the royal family because how dare you divorce, one of the Queen's sons. So she will not have anyone standing in line to support her in this because her reputation was trashed by the tabloids, because the tabloids also work with the royal family. I have a lot more information on this that I could probably talk about for a long time. In my work, I've worked with not the royals, the royal family. I've worked with Harry and Meghan. And so I learned a lot about the tabloids. The tabloids are brought to now King Charles. They are brought and they are lined up in front of him every day. And he can pick and choose, right? He has agreements with the tabloids about what's printed, what's not. So when somebody divorces someone in the royal family, you know, the blood is on the hands of the royal family because they're in charge of the tabloids. So, yeah, anyway, long story short. So you will see Fergie get crushed. And my guess is it was just a big social wealthy club, which was a lot of the people that Ghislaine Maxwell hung out with. When you got down to the really dark stuff that men were doing that's described in the birthday book, that's when you got into the really like illegal sexual stuff. And Fergie wasn't around for that. Most women were not around for that. Did they know things? Maybe. My guess is a lot of people's partners were involved and they just didn't say anything because their partners were not faithful to them and they felt bad. I don't know. These are all just my musings. So that is my thought for the night. I'll be interested to see how this plays out as we go forward in the coming days. I hope we get the emails. I hope we get a nice big drive full of emails because I will read them all. I'm raring to go with that information. Anything that they will give us from the Epstein's files, especially I'm more interested in the estate, the Epstein estate, because I think more pertinent stuff is going to come from that. That is not anything that's blocked by the DOJ. That's private. So we can actually purchase that stuff. Like legal teams can purchase it out of the estate, whether or not the two men who own the estate are willing to give things up. I don't know. But they can be purchased, which is why we have the birthday book. So, okay, in summary, sorry, it's late. Or it's not, it's 7:56 and I'm tired. Things that I have, if you go through I tried to post something earlier about how to find people's older articles, but if you go to my profile and underneath it says the Panicked Unpaid Writer, if you click that, you'll be able to see articles that I've written. So the entire birthday book is on there and I split it into 5 parts. I transcribed it so it's easy to read. So you can go through and you see some of these letters from people who are very close to Jeffrey Epstein and what they were doing and what they were proud of, unfiltered. I'm still going through the Maxwell interviews, so all the breakdowns of those interviews and the things that she said on the record that she completely perjured herself, which she cannot do. She was not, she was given immunity, but she was not given immunity against perjuring herself in those interviews. So are they going to call her on it? No, probably not. But she did perjure herself, and the birthday book proves she did. So I've got that stuff up, and then I've got some older articles about Jeffrey's interactions with Donald Trump, things like that. So tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about Charlie Kirk, which I said I wasn't going to do, but there are some thoughts that I have. I didn't watch the funeral. I took a nice day into the city. I hung out with E.G. and Carol yesterday, which is really cool. I went to a book club that she was at, and that was really fun. I went to the Brooklyn Book Festival, and I volunteered there, and that was really fun, and it was all very, it kind of filled my cup yesterday. I was like, I don't need to be enmeshed in this funeral stuff. But I have thoughts about Charlie Kirk's message that I think is it's the thing, how can I put this? It's the idea of two things being mutually exclusive and not. You can have empathy over a situation about what is right and what is wrong as far as violence and political violence and how hard it is to see it in front of your face. And I hope most of us did not see it. But that's always bad no matter when and where it happens. But then diving into what was the message that Charlie Kirk was putting forward and How much of a bullhorn has that been given now? And what are the repercussions for the things he said? So you look at things like encouraging people to have guns despite, what he said, lives will be lost, and that's just the price we pay, which was one of like the most ironic quotes right before he died. But then looking at like how many lives have been lost to gun violence, how many lives have been lost because of this message against transgender people, how many women have been killed because of these messages for gun violence, but also the roles and the narratives of women in America and what are we supposed to be doing and what are we not supposed to be doing and what were we wearing and should we work or should we not work or just things that only were being asked. Racial violence, just different things that had to do with the messages that he spread and what are the results? If I take a period of time and I look at the statistics, what are the results of a message like that? How many people are harmed? How many people are killed? How many laws are passed? How many laws aren't passed? So anyway, I'm going to kind of look into that and talk about some of his messaging and that we can have empathy for a situation that is horrible and violent and awful. And we can have empathy for a family and we can understand that even if I think your messaging is horrible and damaging, that I also acknowledge that you have grief and that grief is hard. I don't put Donald Trump under that umbrella. I think his participation in Charlie Kirk's funeral was marketing, as with most things that he talks about. It was a great marketing opportunity for him. It's a fantastic distraction from the Epstein files, which I have not forgotten about, my friends, and I will not forget about. And so, yeah, so that's where I'm going with it tonight. I'm hoping that I don't fall asleep in the middle of it, but we'll get something out to you. So thank you guys. Thanks for hanging in there while I balance having a job and trying to write at the pace I was writing this summer. And, which Fergie? Elisa, it's Sarah Ferguson. She is being canceled for saying that she was friends with Jeffrey Epstein. But you know what? Everybody was back then. All the British high-end wealthy people of status were probably friends with Jeffrey Epstein. He was big in England. So, okay. Thank you guys. Wow, 300 people. Great. Thank you guys so much. I will talk to you later. Bye.